Thank you very much for having me here, and let me please start with acknowledging the traditional owners that gather today and show our respects to their people, their elders, and their leaders, present, future, and past. So, thank you. So, my name is Wolfgang Roffman. I'm the founder and CTO of EMOS, a company that has been operating for the last 10 years in the electric vehicle field and mostly in the 3- and 2-wheeler area. So, our company really has an ethos of being a young company, but at the end of the day we still want to have some fun. We want not to take us too serious at times. So, as you see, our range of vehicles is quite vast, and we are very much not just a vehicle company, but an electric transport solution company. We consult with companies in the logistics field, providing solutions in the urban transport solutions, but also in the urban mobility vehicles area. What I want to talk today about is why is there a need to electrify transport, and particularly transport on 2- and 3-wheelers. So the driving needs are the reducing harmful emissions, congestion, parking, all these things which we know. But we're also seeing these things in the companies with their environmental and social governance, and want to basically provide net zero or socially responsible transport solutions in the couriers area. So, just a few facts. One of the facts is actually that over the last 20 or so years, motorcycle usage actually has almost threefold in Australia. And we know that moped scooters and motorcycles are highly agile, reduce congestion, require less parking, and cheaper to run than cars. The bad side of the motorcycles is that it's the noise and the tailpipe emissions of these vehicles, the sound and the smell and the fumes. Combustion bikes require constant maintenance to be actually running efficiently. Now, the ugly side is really not necessarily only the greenhouse gases, because the greenhouse gases such as CO2 are actually reduced, but carbon monoxide, hydrocarbons, and nitrous oxides are actually increased, and sometimes even higher than them of cars, as we see here, in some cases 1.2 to 6 times higher nitrous oxides. And these are really harmful gases for the health of people. In 2015, 2,566 deaths resulted from air pollution, and that's more than actually the whole car toll of car accidents. But we don't see any campaigns like the ones for cars. So, the unsung heroes of transport electrification. We have no harmful emissions, no noise, no fuel, $1 per 100 kilometers, less wear and tear, no oil changes, 50% less maintenance. Bloomberg, in the electric vehicle outlook, had 900 million power 2-wheelers in the world. 20% are already electrified, with 40% of new vehicle sales are electric. In 2040, electric 2-wheeler sales share will reach 77%, and electric fleet share will reach almost 50%. Going on, another unsung hero are electric buses. If we look at these graphs, we already see that the power 2-wheelers and 3-wheelers, 80% by 2040. If we look at the passenger car, they're already at 40% now. If we look at the passenger cars, they're still under 10%. So, the uptake of electric moped scooters and motorcycles has been increasing, but it's still very slow. So, at the moment, in 2021, In 2020 we had 1,600 electric motorcycles, mopeds, scooters. We are now at about 2,500. So there is some exponential growth, but most of those actually came actually from Australia Post. And you might have seen the three-wheelers. Australia Post has, at the moment, I think 1,800 of them in operation. So, what are the barriers to uptake? In some ways, it's price, range, charging access, and charging time. We call this battery angst. And the battery angst is really that the cost of the batteries are still high, and the cost of replacement of these batteries is also a deterrent there. Then the range. We all know about range anxiety, and the same is true for the power two-wheelers. But really, if we look at cars, the average distance driven by a car per day is about 35 to 38 kilometers. And most of those trips, 60% of those trips are actually under 5 kilometers. So your trip to the shop can easily be done with an electric bike or with a scooter or with a motorbike as such. And we have a number of three-wheel bikes as well. This comes back to the area where people are not feeling confident, you know. And the interesting part here too is what I forgot before. It's actually that in Australia there are 900,000 registered motorbikes. There's many more which are off-road bikes as well. But the interesting part is that there's 2.6 million people who have a motorcycle license. So that's almost threefold. And that really represents the people who might have had a motorbike license when they were young, but now family and so forth, and they will not go on a motorbike again. But maybe now with the gasoline prices where they are and still rising, we might see people using this mode as an alternative to a car. In terms of battery access, where can we charge? And then the time. How much time does it take? So we are working very hard with some partners on a concept where we basically rethink the battery and just see it as a fuel tank. So we decouple the battery from the vehicle and it becomes a swappable item. And with that, you treat it just like your barbecue gas bottle, you know, in out. And with that, we can actually reduce the weight, you know, in terms of the vehicle, and don't use the dead weight, or even look at it from a what I call dormant battery capacity. If we have a battery in our car, in our electric car, where we can go 500 kilometers, but what we do every day is 35 or 40 kilometers. We are carrying a lot of weight around, dead weight, every time. For that one time per year when we drive 350 kilometers, or we drive to Sydney, and so forth. So the idea of range, you know, has to be rethought as well. So by rethinking the battery as and treating it as a fuel tank, making the batteries a subscription item, where we basically pay like fuel, but hopefully, or most likely, a lot less. We can basically generate a battery swap, and this will take away, first of all, the replacement cost. You know, where people will think, oh, at some stage I have to replace my battery, and it will cost me an arm and a leg. And secondly, it will also have the charging, but basically the charging is not an issue anymore, and we're rather basically doing it within 1 or 2 minutes, even faster than you would fill up a fuel tank. So, we've spoken before about batteries and so forth and what's been done. So for us, with this mode, we can also actually take control over the battery, because the battery is actually ours, and we can control it. There's IoT devices and telematics which can follow it, see how many times they have been charged or discharged. We can see what state of charge they are, and how much life is left in them. We are working together with a social enterprise called Substation 33, which reuses those batteries and cells to make solar power stations for some third world countries. So when we talk about the batteries in the circular economy, they are being repurposed. So in conclusion, these are some of our vehicles. I wasn't talking too much about our company, but rather why we do it. And thank you very much.